Time for the Burning River Sportscast. 4 quarters were just not enough as the Cleveland Browns added a goat to their Thanksgiving menu. Jacoby gave it his all one last time to send the Browns out with a memorable win. And now, with 11 weeks of football behind us, the long-awaited Deshaun Watson is set to debut in brown and orange. Can Deshaun resurrect the Browns season and be the quarterback savior we've been waiting for? Or will 2 years off take its toll and lead us all into shame? We'll break it all down for you next on the Burning River Sportscast.
Who's the guy that cut his hair and then lost his power?
You're talking about Clay Matthews? No, not.
What am I looking at?
Well, now you know. Now you know.
Cornholing Jason Kelce.
It's a bad day for someone.
Samson married a Philistine.
Also a concussion.
Got banged on the dome.
Got his dome rocked.
I
don't think that's the same thing.
Welcome into the Burning River Sportscast. I'm Kenny Thunder, alongside the man who originally coined the term retrograde peristalsis after a 6th place finish in the Cranberry, Pennsylvania Philly cheesesteak eating contest. Ohio's newest baby daddy, Red Eye Ronnie Jams. Ronnie, we missed you last week, and I forgot where I can find the podcast.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you where you can find the podcast just to get us started here. You can find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Castro, and more. And I listened to your episode last week, and might I say, something was missing. And it was me.
Oh, sure.
The life of the party is back, baby!
Oh, sure.
How was your weekend, though?
It was Thanksgiving, so the weekend was kind of like...
Eat lots of turkey?
Extended, had some time off work, go out and visit the family and the kids, and it was good. It's a little bit of rest and relaxation, some R&R.
Your family still lets you over on Thanksgiving?
For now. They don't know what's coming.
I don't know what that means. But
Nobody knows what it means.
Tina, look out.
And what about you? First week settling in with a newborn.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty wild. It's a pretty surreal feeling. So baby was born on November 19th, 4:24 in the afternoon. So basically, from there on, we did nothing but take care of a baby.
You're a baby daddy now.
Yeah, I am.
How does that make you feel?
Scared. Scared. I mean, no, it feels really good. It was a pretty emotional experience, to be honest with you. I was not ready for how emotional I was going to get, and it's just different. It's
was it really messy?
It wasn't clean. But it was still an amazing experience. There's just no other feeling like seeing your child for the first time, and I don't really know how to explain it.
Do you feel like a changed man?
I do, but I just kind of feel like a more scared man now.
Like the moment the baby came out, were you like, "I'm dad"?
It was more like, "I'm dad." Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But like in a good way. Like I say that, but it was a good feeling.
Your dad. How's mom holding up?
She's great. Mom and baby are both very, very healthy, healing up, and yeah, everything's going well. Other than the fact that we just don't sleep anymore. Just like any new parent, we don't sleep. So
yeah, I don't think that's going to change for a while.
No, we gotta, all the baby stuff, get them back up to birth weight, and then once they're there, then you can maybe start getting a little bit of sleep.
Not that I have any kids yet, but that's my understanding is that you don't get to sleep anymore.
Nah, sleep when I'm dead.
That's where we're at.
Yep.
You know who didn't die this weekend?
The Browns.
The Cleveland Browns.
And guess what? I don't need to wear a paper bag this week.
No paper bags this week.
Last time you guys saw me, I was wearing a paper bag. I came back, it's gone. We win.
No more bags.
So I guess with that, let's just go ahead and jump into the Week 12 recap. All right, so as we always do, let's start with our opponents, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The GOAT.
The GOAT. is who we were playing this week. Tom Brady led the offense. He was 29 of 43, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, he didn't make really any mistakes, but he wasn't like phenomenal.
No, I mean, I think the one thing that stood out just from his performance on Sunday was that offense, especially with the receivers they have, has big play ability.
Big play.
And they never were able to really get that big chunk play, which credit to the defense. But, I think that he just kind of took what the defense was giving him all day long.
Which, I mean, honestly, Tom Brady, he's made a career out of that. He's always taken what the defense gives him, and that's why he's part of why he's so good.
Sure, and he had his shots. I mean, they had drives late in the game. So I think there was nervous time there a couple of times on those final drives. You're thinking, Tom Brady is the GOAT, especially when they got the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
overtime.
Every single time they got it in overtime, and even when they had it, Emily was actually recording the baby, and she said she's sending it to her parents or her friends or something, and she's like. She said, "Hey Nori, are you gonna watch your first overtime game?" And I said, "They got 32 seconds and 3 timeouts. Let's not call it overtime yet. Yeah. Give me a few minutes."
Yeah, I was surprised that and the commentators remarked on it that they kind of wasted a lot of time on the very first play. It went for 10 yards or so, and it was surprising that they didn't.
You don't see that out of a Tom Brady-led team.
No, it was just kind of odd the way that they...
Like, even when coaches are terrible at managing the clock, Tom Brady's usually very good at it. So.
I mean, give that guy 1 or 2 more plays. And I mean, he hit a big strike there for 20 yards to put him at midfield.
As soon as they got that one, I was like, oh, God. Oh, here it's over happening.
For us. Yeah.
But yeah, so besides Tom Brady, Rachaad White got the start with Leonard Fournette on the bench due to injury. 14 carries, 64 yards, 9 catches for 45 yards. He actually filled in pretty admirably. I mean, he had 4.5 yards a carry and 9 catches for a running back's pretty solid. So.
I think we actually dodged a little bit of a bullet, though, not having Fournette back there because he's just a bruiser.
Well, and I mean, we give up yards to bad running backs. Imagine what we would have done with him.
Well, yeah, Rachaad White had a decent day.
Which we'll come back to that conversation later.
But Fournette's just such a bruiser, and we don't like to tackle anyone.
No, tackling is...
we don't do it.
No. I was at a loss for words. That's how bad our tackling is.
We did enough of it on Sunday, though.
Yeah, so Mike Evans... only 2 catches for 31 yards, and we'll talk more about this once we get into Cleveland's defense. So we held him in check pretty well. Chris Godwin, though, he pretty much feasted. 12 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown.
I was glad I wasn't playing him in fantasy this week. Like, just watching him get 8, 9, 10, 11 catches. Yeah. I'm like, geez. Yeah.
And then Julio Jones, 3 catches, 40 yards, 1 rush for 15 yards. It's amazing to me how far Julio Jones has fallen in just like a year.
Well, he's old.
I mean, I get it. He's up over, but you're a receiver on the wrong side of 30, but he was so far.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. He was one of the best in the game.
And just in the last 2 seasons, he's basically like he's just another receiver out there.
Oh, he doesn't have Matt Ryan anymore.
That's true. The defense for the Buccaneers were able to get 4 sacks. They did have 11 QB hits, which is a lot.
Yeah, they were all over Jacoby all day long. Even on plays where they weren't getting hits on Jacoby, and they had plenty of those, but even on plays they didn't, they were creating pressure and havoc back there for sure.
Yep.
And the penetration that they created also disrupted our run game quite a bit.
It did.
Nick Chubb had a hell of a game, but he had to work for every yard.
Yeah, he did. And they also forced 1 interception from Jacoby. So
that doesn't really count, though, right? That was
I guess you're right. That was end of the half, the Hail Mary to just try and whatever. But they did get it, so it's going to go down. Nobody cares at the end of the season. They just see an interception there. So
true.
Let's go ahead and go over to the Cleveland side of things. Start with coaching. Mike Prefer, still trash. Got nothing else to say about that. Joe Woods. The defense did look much better in this one, but we continue to we're just Jekyll and Hyde out here. One week we're solid. The next week we're the worst defense you've ever seen in your life. Yeah.
It's funny. I think the defense has gotten, at least over the last 24 hours, I've heard a lot of praise. Oh, the defense looked great. The defense has been better. It's so good. Look, I don't know that the defense played all that much different than they played all year. I mean, you kind of watch that game, and
I think the biggest difference was key stops. Like
it was
key moment. Like your Myles Garrett's, your whoever showed up.
And that's kind of what I was getting to. Is I think there were spots where like MJ Emerson played really well all day long on the receivers, but outside of that, the defense still kind of leaked on the running game. Tom Brady had an efficient game. They weren't stopping anyone, but they were able to capitalize on important plays at the ends of drives to get the ball back.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll be honest with you, I have down here, they actually weren't that bad against the run. I put that they were bad against the run, but I mean, you did let Rashad, just a little bit of a dig here, you let Rashad White average, what was it, like 4.8 yards a carry or 4.7 yards a carry or something like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's a little bit like the Cincinnati game. It was kind of strange that Tampa Bay didn't run the ball more.
It wasn't like it wasn't there. It was there every time they went to it.
They kind of just said, well, we have Tom Brady and he's going to beat you.
We have a backup running back in Tom Brady. Why would we run the ball?
But you run the ball because that's how you beat the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, they must have been taking a page out of Kevin Stefanski's planning.
It's a trash coaching job out of Tampa Bay.
Speaking of him, we'll get into Kevin Stefanski. Stefanik. Listen, Stefanik. It's simple. Nick Chubb got 20 carries and we won. How hard is that?
On the last drive, he was getting close to 20 carries, and I was like, this damn Stefanik. He's just going to get Chubb 20 carries so they lose.
Just so we can lose. He's like, I told you, that's not the only way.
But you know what happens when you give Nick Chubb 20 carries?
We win the damn game.
You win?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just, like, seriously, how hard is this? It holds true every single week.
Howie said it at the Fox halftime show.
Yeah.
He literally called out. He said, when the Browns give Nick Chubb the ball 20 times, they win.
Which you're welcome, Howie. I know you've been watching the Burning River Sportscast, so you're welcome for the info.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take it to the offense. Jacoby Brissett, 23 of 37, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, that garbage interception. And let's just take a moment here. I want to give tribute to Jacoby Brissett.
Before we do that, let's
not take a moment here. Let's do something else.
Let's first just talk about this game, because coming into this game, you were 3-7. Mm-hmm. And the season, for all intents and purposes, is kind of lost. It's a washed year.
Yeah, as much as people want to say it's not, it's still kind of lost.
It would have been really easy for that team to call it quits, for especially a lot of the veteran guys that kind of know, hey, the odds of us running the table at this point are slim to none. I think Jacoby kept this team together.
Well, yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of expected them to roll over.
I certainly did.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what we've seen so far this season out of this Browns team. I mean, why would you not expect that?
I did expect it.
Yeah. It was nice.
Yeah, I think it was another good game by him. I know that it was an emotional game for him, because certainly there was a ton of talk this week about this being his last start.
You just feel bad for the guy, because he's been nothing but a class act here in Cleveland, and it's just a foregone conclusion. Like, he's just, I start through week 11 and I'm out.
A tough spot for any quarterback to come into.
He's probably been more professional than I would say just about any other quarterback could have handled this whole thing.
I am, and now we can get into our Jacoby Brissett tribute.
Yeah, so let me just take a moment here. I want to give it.
I am honestly blown away by this guy. Look, and I'm not saying, hey, I want Jacoby to be our quarterback long term and all that, but as far we've had
I would say we definitely, if he's willing to stay here as the backup quarterback,
would love to keep him.
I would love to have him on the roster as long as he wants to stay. I'm talking like the rest of his career. If you want to, be our backup and be our locker room leadership guy. But that being said, I also hope he gets a chance to start somewhere else. So.
Yeah, look, I think his skill set probably is backup, but it's high caliber backup.
I mean, he's better than some of the starters around the league right now.
Probably
a good chunk of them, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus Mariota has a job, so
right.
But no, here's the thing. Honestly, just blown away by this guy this year. When they signed Jacoby Brissett, I was kind of like I wasn't.
You weren't real excited.
I wasn't real excited. I was like,
you weren't real excited.
Great. Like, at that moment, I had the feeling of this is a lost season. They're going to lose a bunch of games until Deshaun comes back. Jacoby has played well. Has he lit the world on fire? No. But he has exceeded all of my expectations, and I have to imagine most people's expectations, because he was efficient, he was a leader, he was composed, he was tough. I mean, he took a ton of hits even in this Buccaneers game.
How many games this year have we seen him take a big hit and he's like barely getting off the field, and he's right back out there the next series, and he's just ready to go?
Just talk about a guy with all the qualities that you want in a leader and in a quarterback of your team. And this guy has it, outside of the fact that he isn't super proficient at throwing touchdowns.
Yeah,
but everything else, he's got it.
Well, and to be fair, there's so many people that I posed the question on our social media earlier this year. How would you grade Jacoby's performance? And we got a lot of bad grades for him simply because everybody was pointing at the record. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Kenny Thunder was one of those. Gave him like a D because he said our record was bad.
Well, our record is bad.
But to be fair, our record is not bad because of Jacoby Brissett.
No,
at all.
100%.
At all. We've actually, you mentioned it as we were kind of going over show notes, as you said, the Jacoby Brissett did not let the Browns down this year. The Browns let Jacoby Brissett down.
100% they let him down. This team is far too good to be 4-7. This team should easily be 7-4. Like that's
not better.
That's not a like, hey, we should have won every game. Like 7-4 is a really reasonable expectation for this team.
Just go back and watch the game.
And Jacoby played well enough to get him there. So it's a damn shame.
Yeah, and just to dive into it a little bit deeper.
That's what he's going to be remembered for.
Right, and just to dive into it a little bit deeper, Jacoby's numbers on the year, he finishes 200, well, I say finishes, assuming he doesn't play the rest of the way. There could be injuries or whatever, but 236 of 368, that's good for 64.1%. 2,608 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. So if you want to extrapolate that, I don't know the exact numbers. I didn't do the math, but you're looking at probably somewhere around 18 touchdowns to like 10 interceptions and right around like 4,200 yards. So
and almost 65% of his passes completed. Like those are good numbers. The only one that's not is the touchdown numbers, right? And that's what separates him from top tier starters in the NFL, is that 18 touchdowns just doesn't get it done in today's game.
No. But again, if you with this team, and if he played like that for an entire season, this team should be a good team.
Well, yeah, because you have the best running back in the NFL, so you don't need to throw 35 touchdowns. It helps if you can, but you don't need to win.
Right.
But just put a stamp on it. I mean, I think when you think about Browns quarterbacks, and we've had plenty of them since 1999.
I think he might legitimately be the best one.
Well, and I don't know if we can call him the best one, because I think Baker, love him or hate him, like led us to the playoffs, won a playoff game. Like he probably owns that. He owns a bunch of Browns records because he played for 4 years. But I don't think it's a stretch to put him up there in the
I would say he's definitely
3 or top 5.
Yeah, I was going to say he's definitely
99.
top 5.
I mean,
and I'm not saying he's for sure the best one. I'm just saying an argument could definitely be made that he was the best one we've had.
Yeah, I mean,
he just didn't get the time that some of the other ones had.
Right.
So
I don't know. I mean, like I don't know what to make of that. Like the emotion and feeling that I have of like goodwill toward Jacoby Brissett for playing 11 games for us. I don't know.
As professionally as anybody possibly could.
Professional love. We professionally love you, Jacoby.
We love you, Jacoby.
We appreciate
you. And regardless of if it's here or elsewhere next year, we wish you nothing but the best.
Well, unless you play for Pittsburgh, because then
then we hope you're trash. So
F them all.
F them all. Anybody in the AFC North, F them all. But you mentioned during this talk about Jacoby, the best running back in the game, and that is Nick Chubb. So that's who we'll go to next. 26 carries, 116 yards, and one big game-winning touchdown in overtime, baby.
And boy, did he have to work for that one.
Oh my God! He bounced out. He had like 4 people on him, just like clawing and scratching his way to the end zone.
The big uglies up front were not giving that up.
No. And our guys were not giving him much help, and he said, "That's fine, I'll do it myself."
I'm spinning. I'm going to turn my feet.
And just a fun note there. Did you see the camera like zoomed in on him after he scored his touchdown? Just stone face, like no emotion whatsoever.
Well, because the Buccaneers jumped off sides, so there was like they had the delayed celebration because there was a flag on the play. They didn't know if it was coming back. It was funny because it was this pivotal moment in the game. It was a walk-off score, and everybody's just standing around like, "Whoa, what's next?"
And it just seemed like it fit Nick Chubb so well. Like, yeah, it's just another day in the office.
Just another day.
So, and then Kareem Hunt here, 5 carries, 15 yards, 1 catch, 16 yards. Did we just forget about him? Like, is he even on the team anymore?
Look, here's the thing. Look, again, I like Kareem.
I do too. I like Kareem a lot.
He's outlived his usefulness to this roster and this team. Nick Chubb is the best running back in the NFL, and there's only one ball to go around. So,
well, in the more hopefully they go this route. We've said this before, and it never happens, but hopefully they continue to give him more carries and up the number of touches that Nick Chubb gets. And as that happens, who's losing touches?
Well,
Kareem Hunt.
And
so
the thing is too that Kevin Stefanik has a tendency to get pass happy because that's today's NFL. I think he sees himself as that's his kind of offense is a pass first offense. The problem is he has run first personnel. So I just think he gets way pass happy, and if they would stick to the run more often, they would probably be fine getting carries to both guys.
Yeah, the longer the season goes on, the more I don't understand why we didn't trade him. So yeah, so I mean, I don't know why we didn't trade him. I don't know. Amari Cooper, 7 catches, 94 yards, another solid game out of him, and he got loose late that set up the winning score. So
yeah, when you think about this game, start to finish, that was like we mentioned earlier. That was the difference in this game was there were key plays, and Amari certainly had one. He ran right through that defensive back.
Oh yeah, we'll talk more about that because I have a few things to say about that play, but we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. But DPJ. Quiet day for him. You mentioned it in your solo outing last week that DPJ has come on and really become a solid number 2 receiver, and not that that's changed, but he had a quiet day, 2 catches, 16 yards. Yeah,
this game it wasn't a huge offensive performance by either team. I mean, Jacoby only had 207.
Yeah, hell, in today's NFL, 23-17 is a low scoring affair. So
yeah, Jacoby only threw for 210. So.
I mean, there was 2 games this week in the NFL where it was 40-33 and 40-34. So
yeah, so there just wasn't a lot of ball to go around this week.
Yep. So Njoku, he's back in 5 catches. Was he back last week? I think this was his first week back, wasn't it?
No, he was back the previous week against the Bills because he hurdled a guy.
Yeah, he did. Sorry, we were having a baby.
He's got baby brain, pregnancy brain.
5 catches, 29 yards for him, and he did have a touchdown, and what a touchdown it was! I mean, that catch was. About as clutch as it comes.
Did you hear Jacoby kind of talking about it?
Yeah, and he said, I let go of it, and I thought I threw it high, and I about started crying, and then I realized that he caught it, and I was like, damn it, I want to run up and kiss you, but obviously I didn't.
You didn't kiss him. Yeah, I mean, heck of a throw to get it off in that moment.
He said he threw it high, but I mean, you almost had to put it right there because there was a guy on Njoku. Like, if he threw it low, that was getting broken up for sure.
But that's the kind of catch we've been waiting for David Njoku to make since we drafted him.
He has all of the athleticism.
So much athleticism.
And I'll throw this out there. I had it later in my notes, but did you catch Njoku's post-game press conference?
He wasn't real happy.
Well, because the guy asks him, he says, David, how do you think this sets up the rest of the season, especially since you guys, you might not have a chance, whatever. He was basically insinuating that we were done. And I probably should have just left it where it was because I have notes on it and it says exactly what it says. But he comes out and this is what David Njoku said. He said he grabbed the microphone, interrupted him, and said, "We're not done. That's what it is. We're not done. I don't know who's talking, whatever about we're just gonna roll over, but that shit is dead. We're not done. Thank you." Yeah, he just walks away. And I was like, yes, that's the fire we've wanted from the Browns all year long.
He was a little feisty. He got a little feisty, a little loose last week with Mary Kay Cabot as well.
Well, I think, I like seeing that because when, not that they don't deserve it a little bit because of the way they've played as a team this year, but I like it when the players fight back a little and they're like, look, we're doing what we can and we're playing these games and we're playing hard and it just hasn't gone our way. And when he's like, we're not going to roll over, we don't quit. I like to see that out of the team.
Well, and you're not eliminated until you're eliminated, right?
Crazier things have happened in the NFL.
And it's far-fetched, certainly, but
but
Yeah. David Bell, the Venus flytrap of 4 catches for 23 yards. I think they are starting to get him more involved. I've noticed he's been on the field a higher number of snaps each week.
I noticed that you left his drop off of his stat sheet.
I didn't see it.
Okay. Didn't happen.
Nope. Didn't see it. Listen.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about the next one.
Yeah, you don't. Anthony Schwartz. Anthony Schwartz, 1 catch, 17 yards, 1 rush on the reverse for 31 yards and a touchdown. He contributed. Anthony Schwartz showed up and contributed to a win.
Look, okay, the reverse he contributed.
He contributed.
He scored the touchdown. I'll give him that. He had 1 catch after that.
Fair. I will say on that reverse, did you notice the damn good blocking downfield by Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah.
25 yards downfield, just plowing over free safeties.
Yeah.
Like,
you love to see it.
That's what we were talking about. Like, everything that guy does, you're just like, you just appreciate him more and more.
I mean, you love it, and you're kind of at the same time like, ooh, like you don't want your quarterback out throwing lead backs. But Jacoby's a big guy.
He could take on a safety.
And he just kind of forearm shivered the guy to the ground. So
it's beautiful, beautiful. The offensive line gave up 4 sacks, but they did pave the way for 189 yards rushing. So, I mean, you win some, you lose some, I guess. But they need to get healthy, and they need to get back to their early season form because early in the season they were just dominating everybody.
Yeah,
which is weird because we were losing. I mean, we're still kind of losing, but
losing Ethan Pochik hurt.
Yes, badly.
And there's still too many plays.
Did you think that sentence would come out of your mouth this year?
No.
Seeing as how he was the number 3 option.
No, because he went from the number 3 option to number 3 in the league.
Yeah, to playing like a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, Fro Holt, he was out there again.
You love his name.
And they signed Mance as a depth signing. But there's still too many plays where the defensive line is in the backfield and I'm seeing offensive linemen turned around watching the play. Like, that's never good.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of it's coming from the guy that we always talk about, that it's always coming from.
Yeah, he had another not great game.
Jed Wills has to be the worst rated left tackle in the league.
He certainly isn't the best rated.
I'd like to see that. I haven't looked at PFF for him, but I'd like to see what they have him rated as. But whatever. Let's go ahead and get over to the defense. Myles Garrett. I'm actually not going to talk about him right now. We're going to talk about him a little bit more soon. So we'll go to Jadeveon Clowney. 4 tackles, half sack, the old half sack.
The old half sack.
He actually, we finally saw some life out of Jadeveon Clowney. He got after the quarterback a little bit. Even when he didn't get home, whether it was run plays or against the quarterback, I saw him in the backfield a lot more this week than I have in a while.
Yeah, so. This was the first time we've seen Jadeveon have a good game. I think he had a solid game. Did he? Yeah, he didn't win the game or light the world on fire, but he had a solid game. He did. Solid outing.
It was kind of what we expect from him. He's that pressure to help Myles Garrett get free.
And his half sack came at an important time. I mean, that was the half sack he split with Myles at the end of the game.
Correct. Yep. JOK 8 tackles, 1 tackle for loss.
Best strong safety in the game.
Jordan Elliott 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and a sack this week. So
yeah, it was good to see. I mean, we've dogged on the interior line all year long, so
it was good to see one of them get home for once.
To have anything positive happen at all was a breath of fresh air.
And who was it? Was it him that jumped up and like karate kicked the guy in the head, or who was that? That was that JOK
when he flew and landed on Tristan Wirfs. Yeah, that was JOK. He went full Superman. He went straight. He went full vertical.
And by the way, I was on Twitter during the game, just kind of looking and seeing what people were saying as it was all unfolding. And there's a dude from one of Tampa Bay's, like one of their local sports guys or whatever, and he was calling, "Why isn't this a penalty?" And everybody ripped at him hard. They're like, "Are you serious, dude? Like you want a penalty for jumping? That's the penalty you want to give him?" I
mean, here's the thing: the guy that he jumped into tossed him on Tristan Wirfs.
Oh, yeah. He just used his momentum against him and said, "You're going to go that way now."
I mean, it was an odd play. I kept trying to get myself into the mindset of like what JOK was thinking. Like, I'm going to just go over this guy. Question mark?
Did he think he was getting chopped? And he's like, not today.
Not today. Because he just literally tried to jump over him. But
it was reminiscent of Antonio Brown just kicking our punter in the face that one time.
A little bit. Because when they came back from break, they were talking about this was so gruesome. We aren't going to show it to you again. So I was all over Twitter trying to find just the replay.
It wasn't that bad. He tossed him into his leg, and he probably tore something, but it wasn't.
Yeah, and I don't even think that he landed awkwardly for sure, and it wasn't good. But it wasn't. I mean, shoot, you go back and watch like the Alex Smith leg injury and some of these.
We should have had this game on Amazon. They would have showed it 100 times.
Yeah, or to attack of Valoa having a seizure on the field.
Yeah,
but I don't even think anything's broken. I think he has just a high ankle sprain.
Great. The dreaded high ankle sprain.
I mean, he'll be out
for 6 weeks.
He'll be out for a few weeks, but it's not structural.
From there, the secondary played well most of the game. Still, I will say there was still too many times that I saw guys wide open. Some of the passes that they did complete, I was just like, was there even a DB around him? But overall, they played well. Chris Godwin, though, feasted. Since we're talking Thanksgiving, feasted. You see what I did there? On Denzel Ward. While MJ Emerson actually got the start for an injured Greg Newsome and completely smothered Mike Evans on the other side.
What did Mike Evans have 2 catches?
Yeah, so they actually there was one of the sports places, the statistics groups tweeted out that Martin Emerson held him to 2 catches for 31 yards, and Martin Emerson tweeted back at him and said, actually, it was 0 catches for 0 yards because the 2 catches that he had, I was not covering him. So it was pretty funny that he went back at him. And Martin Emerson actually almost got our Dog of the Week nod because he played so well.
Yeah, he's been tremendous. What a find in him.
Yeah.
He's everything that you want in a young player because he's high energy, high motor. He's physical. He's fast. He has great speed to come back to a route.
Confident is something that I love.
He's super confident.
Yeah, he's not afraid of anybody out there.
No, I mean he was just hand fighting with Mike Evans all day long.
Mike Evans is one of the most physical receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, he's a big, strong guy,
and he was going toe to toe with him, and he won the battle, which is pretty impressive. So like I said, he almost got Dog of the Week. We saved it for someone else. We'll get to it here soon. But, I'm just excited about Martin Emerson. And that might spell the end for Greg Newsome starting opposite Denzel Ward, unless Denzel Ward keeps having games like he did this game.
Well, and the thing was, it was important that he had a great game because Newsome was out. And they were a little bit thin at DB anyway. So to have him come on and be so productive, I mean,
phenomenal.
Blessing.
I will just to touch on that again, though. The Denzel Ward having that bad of a game against Chris Godwin is pretty concerning. If you ask me.
I was gonna say, are we worried about Denzel at this point? Just given that he's missed so much time with the injuries,
he's always injured. And I posed the question earlier this year, and I hate to say that I have the dude's jersey. I like Denzel Ward a lot. He's an Ohio State guy. He's a great corner when he's on the field most of the time, but he's had injury problems, and he's had some not so great games.
Like, I'm not ready to make any kind of judgment call on Zell
neither.
At this point.
I just want to pose the question.
But I think that he's looked apprehensive and a little bit slow.
It makes you wonder if the injuries are playing a role in that, where it's like he's almost getting gun shy because he's like, I'm always injured. I need to.
And maybe it's just I'm totally wrong and I'm just crazy. But to me, that's what it looks like right now. Is that
I think it's fair.
He's afraid to pull the trigger.
Yeah. So just something to keep an eye on. Like we said, we're not reserved. We're not passing any judgment yet.
I think he and John Johnson have made a number of business decisions over the last few weeks.
Yeah, and Denzel Ward, John Johnson, whatever, but Denzel Ward, we're paying that guy a lot of money right now. So can't have that.
Get it together, Zell. We know you can.
Yep. Special teams, Cade York, 1 for 2 on field goals. And the one that he missed was one of the most god-awful shanks I've seen in my entire life.
And it was a short kick.
39 yards. Not hard. Right after he hit a 51-yarder. Like, it sucks because we like Cade York here. In case anyone didn't know, we were really high on him early in the season. Kenny's got a Cade York jersey.
Cade York, peppermint patties.
Peppermint patties all around. He's must-see TV.
Must-see.
yeah, I mean, it's starting to get to the point where it's like people point at the bad misses and they're like, he did this, and you're like, but he hit a 51-yarder, and it's like, where do you go with him?
To me, that was the first kick that I've truly seen him just outright miss.
Just completely duff.
A lot of the other ones were either blocked or there was penetration that forced him off his rhythm. But that one looked like yippee, like he was yips.
Yeah.
Because that one looked like it got blocked.
And I will say that's fair. There are a lot that are blocked, and I just want to throw out that we already said Mike Prefer's trash. But what are we doing blocking on field goals and extra points? It seems like there's always somebody right there.
3 field goals have been blocked this year.
That's insane.
When's the last time 3 field goals were blocked in a season for Cleveland Browns?
I don't know. We need a statistician to sit right there.
Yeah.
But anyways, he was 2 of 2 for extra points, so I guess that's good. If he would have made his field goal, we would have won in regulation, though. So
yeah, true.
Overall total yards: Browns 367, Buccaneers 325. Time of possession: Browns 39:04, Buccaneers 30:37. There were times that I was sure the GOAT was going to take this game over.
Oh yeah.
There were still questionable calls, especially towards the end by Stefanik. But guess what? The defense looked much better in this game. Our big name players showed up when they needed to, and the Browns were able to get one against a solid Tampa Bay team. And they head into Deshaun Watson with one more, getting Deshaun Watson back with one more win. So that's, I'm glad we were able to get that win against Tampa Bay there.
They're going inside Deshaun Watson.
And going into this game, Tom Brady was 218-0 when leading in the final 2 minutes of regulation by 7+ points, including the playoffs. The Browns have made that 218-1.
That dude gave up his retirement, his wife, and his family to lose to the Browns.
And his 218-0 record when leading by 7+ points in the last 2 minutes of a game or playoffs.
Look, this win by no means saves the Browns season, but it feels good to get a W. It feels good to have contributors that we've been waiting for show up and make big plays.
Yes. I will say Kenny and I both picked this game wrong. Yeah. What can you do? After last week, did you really think that it was going to go this way?
No, I thought they were mailing it in.
So, other Browns notes here. I already talked about Njoku in his post-game press conference. Excited to see that. And in case you were living under a rock and didn't know, someone got into the stadium and turfed the field before this game earlier in the week. How that happens to an NFL field is completely beyond me. And I'm not saying, that this was for sure the cause. I mentioned earlier, you said that Amari completely ran through the DB
he
on
did.
That. But it really looked like he may have tripped in a tire track, too.
Possibility.
We'll just go with Amari juked him out of his shoes and ran through him. But I'm just saying the tire track was right there.
Maybe Baker never gave his keys back.
It was Baker. Speaking of that, did you see he said that's not my old place. That's just somewhere I used to play.
Yeah, bro, that was your house. There was commercials. I saw it.
You ain't tricking us, man. That's how you got famous.
Look, it's not like we did him right on the way out. So
well, fair. Also, a skunk got loose in the stadium and wreaked havoc.
Good one.
I'm dad now. I make dad jokes. The Browns are now 2-0 when a wild animal gets loose in the stadium.
Stat of the day.
The other time this happened, you asked. Possum. The other time this happened, you asked, was the rally possum of 2018 when the Browns came back against the Jets and got their first win in 2 years. Dilly dilly, baby. The Bud Light fridges were unlocked, and the possum, like we said, affectionately became known as Rally Possum, and it has its own Twitter and everything.
It's Rally Skunk quickly got his own Twitter.
Does he have his own Twitter now?
Twitter is so fast.
So fast. The internet is undefeated in these things.
The internet is faster than Jacoby Brissett.
Whoa. But yeah, so they will both go down in Browns lore. Rally Possum and now Rally Skunk. Tommy Togiai.
Like, why did these things happen to the Browns?
I don't know.
Like, they don't happen other places. Like,
dude, Rally Possum was wild though, because there's just a picture of the dude just carrying the possum out of the stadium by its tail.
It was like on the news. Like, news outlets are like covering the story of the skunk lost in the stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Only in Cleveland.
Only in Cleveland. Tommy, I don't know how Tommy Togiai got after the rodents. But Tommy Togiai sat out due to coach's decision this week, and so did Chase Winovich. So a couple of eyebrow-raising scratches there. Yeah. For Tommy Togiai, they decided to go with, basically his spot was taken up by Perry and Winfrey, who's been out the last few weeks on coach's decision.
And I don't think he played.
And it's just not a good outlook for Tommy Togiai with this team if Perry and Winfrey, who has been in the doghouse the entire season, is taking your spot on the roster.
To be fair, what has Tommy Togiai done this year? All we've done is talk about how bad the interior of that line is.
That's true. It's too bad though because he's an Ohio State guy, right? So it's like.
Also, they took him out and immediately won.
Is this what we've been waiting for? Tommy Togiai is the link.
That's the worst outlook.
But on the other side, I mentioned Chase Winovich was out as well. What a disappointment this guy's been this year. I mean, I know he was battling injuries coming in, but he's still battling injuries. We haven't really been able to get him on the field, and when he is healthy, now he's a healthy scratch. So
I think he needs to grow his hair back.
Is that what it was? He cut his hair short. He was all business, and he turned into a bad football player.
Who's the guy that cut his hair and then lost his power?
Oh, you're talking about Clay Matthews? No, not. Is that the guy? You're talking about AJ Hawk?
No, like ancient mythology.
AJ Hawk got his hair cut and he wasn't good anymore.
Who is the guy that cut his hair? From like the Bible. He had magic hair.
I don't know. Thor got his hair cut.
No! God. The guy with the
Thor's hair? Not in the Bible, is that what you're telling me?
Who was the guy with the hair? It's like
we'll come back to that. Put it up there. Who's the guy with the hair?
I don't think we have a picture of him. He was in the Bible.
Yeah, but you can find a story. Put it there. There it is.
What's the guy? He had magic hair. And then he cut it and all his power was gone.
We're spending a lot of time on
he
magic
was afraid of just getting his hair cut.
Well, I don't know, but that's what happened to Chase Winovich, apparently. And the final notes that I have for this week, Josh Dobbs, basically immediately after the game when Deshaun Watson was officially activated, was cut. And Chester Rogers has been cut.
That's your boy.
He fumbled the ball once, and then Jerome Ford came back, and his life as a Cleveland Brown was over. So, happy trails, guys. Happy trails.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
You know what this takes us to?
What?
The Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week, baby.
I'm a dog nutter. Let the dogs out! Dog mentality. Come on now. I'm coming in to kill right away.
All right. So the Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week. Are you still laughing about hair?
Look, before we get into the Dog of the Week, it was Samson.
Samsonite.
I was way off.
The Book of Judges, he had the magic hair.
Well. But anyways, Myles Garrett is this week's Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week. 3 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss. High motor throughout this game, which we like to see. And he came up big in crunch time when the team needed him the most. He had the sack of Brady in overtime, and it was on 3rd down, which it was a 3rd and manageable. And they were around midfield. They had a chance to possibly go for it on 4th down to keep the game going, or to go for the win, essentially. Because if they got that 1st down, they would have probably been able to kick a field goal soon thereafter. Basically, the only great outcome for the Browns would have been a sack, and Myles Garrett got it. So,
Samson married a Philistine.
We're not on Samson anymore.
Yes. No, look, this was what we had been waiting for Myles to do all year long, right? We keep talking about him as face of the franchise. He's your best player. Certainly making a lot of money. We've had enough of the Halloween decorations and the costumes with no results. And this was the moment that, when we talk about Myles Garrett being Defensive Player of the Year, that you needed for him to show up and in crunch time takes Tom Brady to the ground in the final drive of regulation and the shoelace tackle on the Buccaneers' last drive in overtime, because time was running out.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers, I didn't think we were getting the ball back.
I didn't even mention the half sack in the final drive of regulation either. Like that was huge. But
yeah, I mean him and Clowney collapsed on him to end the game basically.
But Myles Garrett, at the biggest moment in the game, Myles Garrett shows up and makes a statement and tells everybody why he is the face of the Browns franchise. One of the faces, I should say. Nick Chubb's the other one. Don't forget.
It's almost like Myles Garrett is a microcosm of this whole team. Like we kept waiting and waiting, going, "You're not this bad. We know that you have greatness inside of you." And
absolutely,
he's compiled stats in that, but he hasn't been able to make those clutch plays when you needed them. And Sunday, he absolutely did.
Yep. Good job. So once again, Myles Garrett, Burning River Sportscast, Dog of the Week. Ho ho.
Woof woof.
All right, let's get into the division roundup. We'll start it with Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This year in the NFL is wild, man.
Just some of the, wow. Did you see, speaking of this one, did you see the video of the kid going crazy afterwards and breaking his keyboard and punching a pumpkin in half because the Ravens lost?
I didn't originally, and then you put this in the notes, and then I had to watch it.
His quote, "We lost to the Jags, the Jags, the Jags." It was just phenomenal. The internet's wild, man.
And I think Trevor Lawrence had 3 touchdowns in this game. So
he decided to be a real quarterback for once.
Did you see the Jacksonville mascot?
No. Should I have?
He's a big cat,
Yeah, he's a jaguar.
But during this game, he came out in a yellow mesh bodysuit, wearing a thong, a Speedo.
Why is that good?
I don't know, but it was apparently distracting enough for the Baltimore Ravens to lose.
That's the reason. We both picked this game wrong.
There he is. You're not looking.
Oh,
there he is.
I was letting them know that there he is. We both picked this game wrong. Cincinnati defeats Tennessee 20-16, and this is where things start to go off the rail for Kenny Thunder because I picked this game right and Kenny picked it wrong.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
Disappointing.
You're gonna be really upset. I'm just skipping over this game. I don't care. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was feeling pretty good early on when Derrick Henry had like an 86-yard run on a short pass, I think it was, and then he fumbled the ball at the goal line, but it was recovered in the end zone for a touchdown. I was like, things are gonna go my way.
They didn't.
Then they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't. And you're gonna feel real bad. The Steelers are playing right now, so we're gonna have to add this one into the currently lead 3-0 in case you're not seeing that. But the Steelers are playing right now, so we'll add their game in next week, and we picked that differently. So
yeah, I can't believe you picked the Steelers to win after all the shit you gave me about picking the Steelers to win one time this year. You picked them to win.
Well, when I'm right, you're going to be like,
and you picked them to win against the Fighting Jeff Saturdays.
Is that what they're called now? That's their new name. But yeah, we'll update that one in next week's results. So
currently it's 3-0 Steelers.
Yeah. So right now around the NFL. All right, so let's start with the Thanksgiving Day games. A lot of John Madden tributes everywhere. R.I.P. John Madden.
R.I.P. John.
Thanksgiving, pour one out for him.
Thanksgiving ain't the same without John. Lots of turducken.
So much turducken. The only time I ever hear about turducken is Thanksgiving Day football games.
That's
true. I literally never hear about it anywhere else. But
what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Start with yours because I'm going to think about this for a second.
I love stuffing.
Stuffing's
I'm going to go. It's a tie with stuffing. Some people call it dressing. Still, I don't know what that is. Dressing goes on a salad, but
I think they call it dressing when stuffing is not actually in the bird. Like people make the stuffing that's just like the bread and whatever else all added to it. And
yeah, that's still dumb.
I'm just saying I think that's the difference. But I'm with you. I call it stuffing. All of it's stuffing.
But I'm going to go a tie between stuffing and cranberries. Not the jellied cranberries out of a can.
No,
we make fresh hot cranberries.
I like where your head's at here.
Most people serve their cranberries chilled, but
Fair.
we serve ours hot, and it's just delicious. Just cranberries and sugar.
Yeah, so I have a tie between two as well. The first one's more traditional. It's mashed potatoes. Love me some mashed potatoes.
Turducken.
No, mashed potatoes, man. Especially when they doctor them up, put all kinds of delicious things, cheese,
cheese,
all kinds of stuff in there.
Stick of butter.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Oh yeah,
I like mashed potatoes. My other one's not real traditional. We're a Polish family, and so we have pierogies at all of our Thanksgivings, and they are always phenomenal.
Pierogies are always good. You can't go wrong with
pierogies. So pierogies is probably number 2 on my list, or maybe a 1B.
Polska.
Yeah, we are Polish though, so. Hats off.
Hands off.
Demchek.
John Madden's tributes.
All right. So it's week 12, and Carson Wentz still has more passing touchdowns with 10 than Russell Wilson with 7. You want to know what's good about that?
What's good about that?
Carson Wentz has not played a football game since week 6. And to make matters worse for Russell Wilson, they played Carolina this week. You thinking to yourself, easy win there, right? Wrong. Sam Darnold and the boys coming and get an easy win over
the Broncos.
The Broncos. I couldn't get it all out. They beat the Broncos 23-10. It wasn't even close. Not even close.
Yeah.
With that, Baker's probably done.
Yeah. Sam Darnold didn't play phenomenal in this game, but
he played well enough for them to win 23-10.
He was efficient, and they won by 2 scores. And the way that this Steve Wilkes coaches, he's just whatever quarterback wins, he's my guy.
Why not? Why not?
So Baker is probably done in Carolina at this point.
We've said that before, though. So
yeah, I think this.
But
time
I think he finally
done.
is. I mean, every chance he's gotten this year, he's thrown up another stinker. So
I mean, it's really a shame what's happened to him.
God,
because
I must really be becoming dad. I use the word stinker.
It's a shame what's happened to him because he's not as bad as he's been in Carolina. I think he's totally lost his confidence.
I agree.
And he's playing on a bad team, and he was...
Is he Tim Couch? Is he Tim Couch?
I don't know what he is. I mean, it'll be interesting
I think
to see.
Tim Couch had much more skill than Baker Mayfield does.
Tim Couch didn't win the Heisman.
No, but... Johnny Manziel won the Heisman, and he's an awful quarterback.
Johnny Manziel was great in college.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Couch, I think, had all the makings to be a solid quarterback in the NFL, but the Browns screwed him.
Oh, so. I'll never forgive Butch Davis for that.
No. And when he finally started coming on strong, we decided to go with Kelly Holcomb because he had a few good games.
Yeah, people...
That's bullshit, by the way. I would like to revisit this in the offseason and just yell about that because... Oh my God!
People kind of fondly remember Butch, and I always will remember
F that
him.
Guy. F him all.
It's the guy
him all. Just that one guy
ruined Tim Couch.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
Yeah, not good.
Tim Couch rookie card right there.
There it is.
But yeah, so back to Russell Wilson, who's trash. Well, actually, I'll start with Baker. Baker, because he's done.
Who's worse, Baker or Russell?
Baker. Because he's probably done in Carolina and his confidence is shot, this might be the end of his career. Like, how do you give him a shot anywhere else after such a bad season?
He's either going to be out of the league or he's going to be
backup,
or he's going to be a tremendous comeback story somewhere, like a Geno Smith this year.
I mean, yeah. Whichever way it goes.
But he's in his own head now, so he's got to get that fixed before he does anything else.
So now back to Russell Wilson. I have never seen anything like the nosedive that Russell Wilson's skill level has taken. He went from being a top 10, maybe top 5 quarterback to not even top 25 in one offseason.
That was the guy that was in MVP conversations consistently.
But you know what? He's getting paid $260 million to do it or whatever he's getting paid. So 240, I think is what it is. But still, he's getting paid a lot of money
to be terrible. His teammate get in his face during the game?
Good.
He was not happy.
Good. Why would you not get in the face of a guy that's getting paid that much when he's that bad?
I I don't know. I guess that's a question for him.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Let's ride. Before we ride on,
those are the best memes, by the way. Just put a couple of them up here. Just
let's ride.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
That's enough. What did I skip?
You skipped the whole reason we were talking about Thanksgiving to begin with.
Sorry.
The fact that the Thanksgiving Day Cowboys-Giants game was the most watched regular season game
of all time.
Of 42 million viewers, surpassing the Monday Night Football game on December 3rd, 1990 between the Giants and the 49ers.
So two things here stand out to me. One, I'm a little embarrassed to live in a world where the Dallas Cowboys versus New York Giants game is the most watched of all time. Just why?
It's Thanksgiving.
But I guess it's never been Thanksgiving before. It hasn't?
No, but this year viewership on Thanksgiving was the highest it's ever been. 33.5 million average viewers.
Fair.
To the previous high of 32.9 back in 1993.
That's fair. I'll give you that. The second thing that blows my mind out of all this is how in the hell are there still TV records from the early 1990s?
Well, I agree. They're 100%. That's the wildest thing to me is
like with the way TV is now, and there's a streaming, there's something like everybody has TV now.
We're filming a podcast, and we have
you're going to watch us on YouTube. Well, somebody's going to watch us on YouTube,
and we're watching a football game.
Yeah, we're watching a football game while we're filming a podcast, and Nielsen's all over us.
Okay, they're not, but still, I'm just saying, like, there's a TV in every household in the country now.
Yeah.
And there were TVs.
Multiple TVs.
TVs were popular in the 90s, too. Okay, I get it, but
there's multiple TVs in every household now, not just one.
Well, yeah, because they're flat, and you can hang them everywhere. They weigh 9 pounds.
In case anyone was wondering, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 TVs.
It's a studio.
In our studio.
Yeah.
And they all have access to TV. I could put a different show on every TV. And how many more do you have upstairs? At least 3, I would say.
There's at least 3, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but to your point, I think it is wild to me that the most watched game before that was from 1990.
That's insane.
The popularity of the game, streaming of the game, the internet that has connected the entire world,
yeah.
And the game itself has never been bigger.
I guess the only thing that I could say to rationalize that is the fact that there's so many more options now than there once were. As far as what to watch on any given time with all the streaming services, all the different TV shows that are out there.
What else are you watching on Thanksgiving?
My child be born. No, I wasn't. She was already born. But no, I mean, I didn't watch any games on Thanksgiving. I'm not gonna lie. I know I'm running a football podcast right now, but I was busy with other things, and there was things besides football.
But in the house that you were at, there was no football on the TV anywhere.
No,
there wasn't even in the background.
No, we only had one TV on, and it was on random. I think it was on like Netflix Christmas shows or something, just because we have a new baby.
That's weird.
But on Sunday,
you're an embarrassment.
But on Sunday, I was completely tuned into football. So,
I mean, how many years? It's as old as me. It's 33 years, 32 years ago was that record.
Yeah, you're old.
That's wild.
That is wild. But okay, so back to around the rest of the NFL. Kyler Murray completely called out his coaching staff this week, and he said after their loss, and I quote, "Schematically, we were pretty much fucked." Wow. Wow. After paying Kyler Murray in the offseason, like how long until Cliff Kingsbury gets the boot, do you think?
I like that the note is just wow.
I didn't have much else to say other than how long until Cliff Kingsbury gets the boot after. Does he make it to the end of the season?
I'm just glad Kyler Murray took a break from Call of Duty to come out and play football again.
Yeah, fair. And also, speaking of Kyler Murray, CBS did him dirty.
We probably need this up here.
Yeah, put that up there with the graphic they put up of Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray standing next to each other to show the height difference. Like,
I mean, I knew Herbert was big, but I didn't realize he was 6'6".
Yeah, but they did Kyler Murray dirty.
Oh, super dirty.
He looks small.
He's a child.
He does look like a child.
I don't think he's 5'10" either. I think he's 5'7".
No, that's like a 5'10". Like if I was in the NFL, I'd put 6 foot and I'm 5'10". Like that's him.
Yeah, you're 5'10", but you're 5'9".
It's weird that Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield are both listed at 5'10" or 5'11", whatever they're listed at, but Kyler Murray's like 4 inches shorter than Baker Mayfield.
We'll have to compare their statues in Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers got injured this week, and Jordan Love was able to keep the Packers close against the Eagles.
He was already injured coming into the game. He had something going on with his thumb, but he got his ribs all busted up when he got rolled up on during that game.
Yeah, it feels bad. So the Packers ended up losing 40-33, and every time Aaron Rodgers gets injured now, I'm just like, I just wonder, have we seen the last of him? Is that it? Is he done?
It's certainly interesting now because if
Packers aren't good,
they aren't good. So there's really no reason for Aaron Rodgers to come back this year.
No, you got to. I think the thumb injury, wasn't it like a broken thumb or a severely sprained thumb or something like that?
I forget what they said.
So like with that and with the rib injury, why would you come back?
There's no reason to bring him back, and maybe this plays into just the NFL. NBA like trade scenarios next year, and maybe he ends up going to some random team. And
maybe, but that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is have we seen the last of Aaron Rodgers? Like at this point, do the Packers say we're going to move on? And if you're Aaron Rodgers, like what more do you have to prove?
Well, he's I think only won the one Super Bowl, so
but he's won a Super Bowl. He's won multiple MVPs. Like, does he really care? He's out there smoking Halahuska, and
but I'll bet if he wins another Super Bowl,
think about how much Halahuska you could.
But I'll bet if he wins,
if he
wins
in the NFL,
if he wins another Super Bowl, he might be able to win Shailene back.
This isn't real.
Oh my gosh, here we go with this again. Just leave it alone, man. Leave it alone.
But Jordan Love came in and played pretty well actually in that game. And on the first drive in, he hit Christian Watson for like a 67-yard touchdown.
Yeah. I also want to put one more graphic up here from this game.
Is it Shailene Woodley?
No.
Shailene Woodley.
The Eagles ran a QB sneak in this one where Jason Kelce, the center, literally never let go of the football and just fell forward holding it up against his ass. Like, what?
That's the but not fumble.
Yeah, like, seriously, that is this even legal? I don't think that's a legal play in the NFL.
I think that they have to actually snap it to someone.
I don't understand. He was Jalen Hurts was holding on to the football, but it never left Jason Kelce's hands. So
it doesn't even seem like a safe way to transport the football.
No, let me fall forward with it on my butt.
Let's both hold it.
So let's get that up there. And we'll move on. The Raiders went into Seattle and racked up a ton of offense on their way to a 40-34 win. Why are you laughing?
When you sent me that picture earlier, all I saw was Jalen Hurts' hands and Jason Kelce's crotch, and I was like, what am I looking at?
Well, now you know. Now you know.
Cornholing Jason Kelce.
It's a bad day for someone. But yeah, the Raiders went into Seattle and racked up a ton of offense on their way to a 40-34 win. Josh Jacobs had a career day.
303 total yards.
Yeah, franchise record, 229 rush yards, including an 86-yard touchdown. I mean, it was a monster game by that guy. And the Raiders, who have underperformed all season, they've got to feel good about that because Seattle has cemented themselves as a playoff team, I would say.
Well, yeah, and it wasn't, it's not like Seattle came out and laid an egg.
No, they played fine.
It was
their defense didn't play well, but
it was a competitive game throughout. But yeah, I mean, the Raiders, I think I talked a little bit about this last week. They're probably the only other team that's as big of a disappointment as the Browns.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Because they had the big offseason acquisition with Devontae Adams.
They got what's his name at Josh McDaniels, a head coach,
and Josh McDaniels. Yeah.
Oh, there's another note I wanted to throw in here. Did you put that in last week's that they're cash poor?
No.
All the reports came out this week that the Raiders literally can't fire Josh McDaniels until the end of his contract, which is at the end of next year, because they are cash poor and they can't afford to hire another coach while keeping Josh McDaniels on the books.
If I was on the Raiders staff, I would be on my way looking for another job right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because at some point, if the paycheck stops coming, I don't go to work anymore.
Fair. I mean, yeah. I take that back. I come here. And
I don't know. I would assume that the city funded that stadium for the most part, but I don't know how much I can't think of their the owner's name out there. Al Davis. Mark Davis.
The guy with the crazy hair.
The guy that looks like John Gruden but ugly.
Yeah. There's actually talk about bringing John Gruden back after this, which is a crazy thought.
Hey, I'm not going to defend the things John Gruden said, but he got a little bit shafted there.
Yeah, and final note for this game, if you can get a GIF up here or a still shot even of Seattle had a pick in this game, and the dude on the bench got so excited that he ran onto the field and tried to block someone.
It's probably just a still shot, but it's there.
Yeah, it looked like, if you watch the video, it looks like he got excited and wanted to go celebrate and then realized the play was still going on. So he's like, I guess I'm on the field. I might as well hit someone.
I mean, you might as well if you're out there.
So
you're going to get a penalty anyway.
So that was pretty wild. Speaking of other teams that are trash.
It's not even trash. They're 7-5.
Yeah, but we've called who are you talking about?
Jets.
Yeah, the Jets. We've called the Jets trash all year. They're 7-5. But Mike White took over for Zach Wilson. How they're 7-5 when Zach Wilson was their quarterback for most of the season and Joe Flacco. I have no idea. But anyways, Mike White took over for Zach Wilson for the Jets. Proceeded to throw for 315 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the Jets cruised to a 31-10 victory. What?
Mike White did this the last time that he came in, though. He had a banger to start and then kind of
an absolute banger. Good terminology there. I like it.
So we'll see what else Mike White has left in the tank. But man, one of the mysteries of this season is the New York Jets to me, man, because they're not that good.
I don't know.
But all of a sudden, they're in the wild card conversation. Hell, they're in the AFC East conversation. Yeah. So
one of the other teams in that area, Buffalo, was not in Buffalo this week.
Beefalo.
They were in Detroit for the second time in 5 days.
Do we know if the snow melted up there?
I don't know. I don't care.
Okay.
It's Buffalo, man. They might as well be in Canada.
They are Canada.
But they won for the second time in 5 days in Detroit. And they now have as many wins in Detroit this season as the Detroit Lions do. So
feels bad.
Yeah, it feels bad for Detroit. Sorry, Dad. He's a fan.
Sorry, Dad. He's Ronnie's dad now. He's granddad.
He is granddad now. And then the final note I have for around the league, Minnesota just keeps on winning. They beat the Patriots 33-26, and that's another one I just don't even know what to say there.
Yeah, they were talking about it last night during a Sunday night broadcast about, could Minnesota ultimately end up as the number 1 seed overall and get a first round bye?
They might. I mean, they're a solid team. It's weird. They don't blow you away on paper.
There's still 6 games left, So
I know they don't blow you away on paper when you look at them, but they're just one of those teams they're just solid all around. There's really not a lot of big, not a lot of holes that.
Well, except for your quarterback is Kirk Cousins.
I mean, the dude throws for like 4,500 yards a season.
I know
if not more.
He's Omar Vizquel. He's a stat compiler, but.
Are you shitting on Omar right now?
No.
Whoa!
But I'm saying that's why Omar can't get in the hall.
That's true.
Because he just played for 30 years.
Kirk Cousins.
Of course you have 3,000 hits.
Kirk Cousins has played for 30 years. Wow.
No, but you know what I'm saying? He's not. He's like he puts up numbers in meaningless games, and they're meaningful now.
You like that?
You like that?
So that'll do it for our Week 12 coverage. Let's take a revenue break and get into Week 13. Towpath Distillery. Towpath Distillery, the newest craft distillery in Northeast Ohio, located in Akron and family owned. Towpath Distillery focuses on high quality spirits, carefully made in small batches. Towpath's lineup includes an ultra-smooth, award-winning premium vodka, a small batch silver rum made from the highest grade molasses, an American craft gin made with 9 botanicals, and a blended straight bourbon made from corn and rye. Towpath Distillery. Visit towpath-distillery.com to find an agency near you where the spirits are available, and make sure to ask your local bartender and restaurateur. Towpath Distillery. Handcrafted, small batch, local, and family-owned. Towpath Distillery.
Get some.
Go on and get some.
Go on and get some. Broncos country. That's right.
Another meme. Nice. Week 13 preview. Here we come. All right, it's time. Time. The moment all Browns fans have been waiting for this season, the return of Deshaun Watson to football, not necessarily the Browns. He's just this is his debut for us. But we got lots of questions here. Is he going to live up to the hype? I don't know, but we'll talk about it. Let's first get into the matchups, though, and we'll circle back around and have a nice little discussion on Deshaun Watson. So the matchup previews, do you have any, before we do the actual matchup previews, do you have any opposition research for us?
I do.
Hell yes.
The opposition research is that the Texans are 1-9-1.
That's all you need to know. My only matchup, as far as personnel-wise, that I wanted to highlight this week is the Browns front seven versus the Texans rushing attack. And I say that because they have a solid running back. They have Dameon Pierce, who has come on out of nowhere. He's a rookie this year. And he's been pretty darn good all season on one of the lone bright spots on a terrible team. And the Browns on the other side of things have been awful against the run. So even against the worst rushing attacks in the league. And so I wanted to highlight this to see, are the Browns going to be able to hold down an above average running back?
Yeah, it's interesting too because you're right. Like Dameon Pierce kind of came out of nowhere. But he's got 3 touchdowns on the year. He's just shy of 800 yards rushing. And the last 2 weeks, he's kind of seen his carries.
Well, they picked up Eno Benjamin, baby.
Kind of seen his carries drop off. This week against the Dolphins, he had 5 rushes for 8 yards.
Which is so odd. But, they're behind in every game, so what are you going to do?
And last week, he had 10 rushes for 8 yards. So, but you're right. He's put up performances of 94, 139, 92, 99.
Well, and earlier in the season, you'll see they were in more games as far as throughout the game. They were in a few more games, and he was able to get more rushes. Now they kind of abandon that and start throwing it with whoever the hell they have at quarterback that week.
Kyle Allen this week.
Great.
So I don't know whether we'll see the return of Davis Mills or not.
Who cares?
But their quarterback situation is not good.
Yeah, so that's the only matchup I wanted to highlight, just because we have been so poor against the run. Want to see how we can hold down Dameon Pierce. The other matchups that I have here, first we'll start with Deshaun Watson versus the crowd. He's going to hear it this week. And hell, he's going to hear it all season, but this week is going to be a shit show for him.
Yeah.
Because he's going into his former team, and they're going to give him hell. And I just want to see how he's going to respond to that, especially coming off of 2 years no football and being rusty. Like, how do you respond to the crowd being awful for you?
It's going to be from moment one, right? From the moment
it's not going to stop. Every time the Browns hit the field.
Well, even before that, from the moment he arrives at the stadium, there's going to be people posted up outside with signs. There will be probably protesters and whatever else. So the news media coverage is going to be all about the return of Deshaun and bringing up the allegations of sexual assault again. So it's going to be a tough week for anyone in that circumstance. Throw in the fact that you haven't played football in 700 days. The only kind of silver lining is that the Texans are so damn bad that they should be able to kind of
cake game for your first one.
You should be able to kind of roll out anyone at quarterback and win. So it is a good game for Deshaun to knock the rust off, but it is going to be relentless for him this week.
Yep.
What are we doing here?
I'm giving it a few seconds before I start.
No, we're recording right now.
Oh. All right. So, but beyond Deshaun Watson versus the crowd, I actually have Deshaun Watson versus the world here.
The world.
Because here's the deal. He's public enemy number 1 this week and probably the rest of the season.
Yeah.
People are going to be talking bad about him around the country. And I just, it's going to be interesting to see, will he be able to, at least on the football field, silence all the haters out there and shake off the rust and get back to the Deshaun Watson that he was before this and just sling it.
Well, and that's what I said in our very first episode was I'm worried about this guy's mental capacity, because of the things that he did, and also because now he's in it, right? I mean, he's going to get it.
It gets a lot tougher from here on out.
From everyone. It's not going to get any easier for him.
He was kind of sheltered all season at home, and now...
only way this gets easier is if this guy runs the table, they finish 10-7, and they make the playoffs, and they go on a deep run.
Yeah.
And he's just the absolute reason why. He's the difference.
It's just crazy because the range of possibilities from here on out with Deshaun Watson is just staggering.
Huge spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, it could literally, there's nothing I would be surprised with at all.
And here's the thing. I think the most important thing over the next 6 games is that Deshaun Watson comes out healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
we need him for next year.
You need him for next year. Like for this season, by all accounts, is probably a lost cause. It's still possible. You're not mathematically eliminated just yet, but you're getting close. And it would be a Herculean, a Samsonian effort to
Samsonian with his hair
to get this thing done, which is probably not going to happen. So, in lieu of making the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl, you have to get him out of these next 6 games in one piece.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll throw this out there. Art, when we talk about Deshaun Watson here on the show, I mean, we're talking about him from purely a football perspective, and he's a phenomenal player, and we need him for our team moving forward. Once we get past a little bit of this, and we've talked about it, we've talked about the politics of everything because it's news and it's important to talk about. But once, for lack of a better phrase, once that blows over and everybody gets back to talking about football with Deshaun Watson, I mean, we need him for this football team.
Well, that's the thing, right? At this point, the criminal allegations outside of a pending civil suit, which isn't a criminal case, have been settled and they're done.
Yeah.
The NFL has levied its punishment and he's served his time.
Yep.
So at this point, I mean, you can think what you want about Deshaun Watson, and that's fine. And look, I'm not a guy that has a ton of love lost for like Deshaun. Like, look, I think it's super questionable. I think the whole thing was it was a questionable move to bring him in, all that. But that being said, he's your quarterback now. And the last time he was in the league and played a full season, he led the league in passing yards.
Right.
So
and to
that's where we're at.
To that point, I'm with you 100% on all of those takes. And not to defend Deshaun Watson, but he's done everything they've told him he had to do. He's served his time and he's done what they said.
If there was
what they outlined for him to come back, because people forget there was also, on top of him being suspended, there was things he had to do off the field in order to get back.
Yeah, because he had to get reinstated by the NFL.
Exactly, and he's done all of that.
If there was anything left for them to make Deshaun do or time to serve, he would have gotten it.
Yeah,
I mean he got the NFL equivalent of, like the death penalty. They gave him as much as they could give him based on the charges that were out there.
I agree. So from this point forward, barring anything else coming up, which I hope to God it doesn't, both for Deshaun and for everybody else involved.
Deshaun versus the world.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, hopefully, that's all behind him and everything. But barring anything else coming up, I think we probably mostly stick to football with him going forward.
I mean, there's no sense in going back and relitigating all that stuff because it's already been done. The courts have handled it and the NFL has handled it as an organization. If they didn't want him on the field and they had something else to charge him with, they would.
Yep. So with that being said, just to wrap up the matchup preview for Houston, Houston's got a 1-9 record. They're a terrible team with
1-9-1.
1-9-1. I'm sorry. They have a tie. They're a terrible team with a solid running back. They've been lost pretty much all year. And it's looking like they're probably going to get the top pick in the draft. And then another first rounder from us.
Well, yeah. And this isn't new, right? This is a lot of the stuff that was going on that led to the Deshaun drama in the first place and him not playing last season, even before all the allegations necessarily surfaced.
Yep.
Because of everything with Miami, and Deshaun was trying to force himself out of Houston because their front office, frankly, looks at times like the Browns has over the last 20 years.
Just a fun drop of information here. If you want to get into conspiracy theories, look up the timing with all of Deshaun's allegations and everything else. And not that I subscribe to the conspiracy theory, but it's just fun to go down that rabbit hole and see a lawyer lives next door to the owner, and all of a sudden Deshaun demands to be traded, and all kinds of stuff comes out, and it tanks his trade value. And
yeah. Maybe we should trade your paper bag in for a tin foil hat. But no, you're not.
Put one on my head.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
No, I don't subscribe to it, like I said, but it's just crazy.
But in general, between the McNair family and Nick Caserio, like that organization isn't well run.
No. They could give the Browns a run for their money, I think.
Well, that's what I said. They kind of look like the Browns have over the last 20 years.
Yeah. But yeah, all that being said, the Browns should cruise in this one, but nothing surprises me anymore when it comes to the inconsistency of this season's iteration of the Cleveland Browns, specifically with their coaching. So,
or just this season of the NFL in general. It's been wild.
It has been wild. So
the Houston Texans have beat someone this year.
Yeah, so, why not us?
What I would say, though, is that if they do lose this game, oh, man, I do not want to do the show next week.
No. So finally, let's talk about injuries in this one. Greg Newsome did not play last week. He had a concussion. We'll see if he gets back on the field this week. And then, was there any new additions this week, Kenny? I think there was.
AJ Green
also a concussion.
Got banged on the dome.
Got his dome rocked.
I
don't think that's the same thing.
Still thin at DB, which isn't great.
Yeah.
So you need another big game out of MJ Emerson. I don't know if there's anybody to cover in Houston. I get Brandon Cooks is out there. But outside of that, what do you have? You got Nico Collins, Chris Moore, Philip Dorsett.
I feel fine.
Bunch of nobodies.
Yeah. So the player to watch this week, who you got?
Look, it's the low-hanging fruit. It's Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I've got him too. It has to be Deshaun Watson this week.
This whole week is about Deshaun Watson. And I do think that they will ease him into this game. I'm not expecting fireworks.
Timing routes, a lot of short passes.
Yeah, I think this is the one game this year that Stefanski will put a heavy emphasis on the running game. And
as he should.
We'll try and get Deshaun some early quick looks that are easily completed and try to keep him clean all day.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to want him to drop back more than 25 times.
No, I'd agree with you. He's my player to watch as well, and it's for all the same reasons. It's time. It's time to go. And that we've been saying all season long. Not just us, everybody in Cleveland. You've been waiting for this moment. Like, how much better can we be with him?
Forget just this year.
Yeah.
Since 99, right? Like, we've been looking for a franchise quarterback.
We have never had a guy that is a bona fide stud at quarterback.
Yeah, he's the best player.
And anybody that wants to argue he's not because of the records in Houston and everything, the dude led the league in passing.
Yeah.
You don't get much better than that.
Well, yeah, I think there's interesting commentary along what's the value of a premier quarterback, because sure, premier quarterbacks can go 4-12. Hell, look at the Green Bay Packers right now. But the thing is this team isn't a bad football team. This is a team loaded with talent all over the field, and if we can get quarterback right, which I think we all hope that we have, like, this is the first time in 20 years that you have a legitimate NFL top 5, top 10 guy that unquestionably is the best athlete on your team.
Absolutely. And let's just, I know we've talked about him for a little bit here, but let's talk a little bit more. What are your predictions for Watson this season? I know we've gone over it a little bit on past episodes, but now that it's here, what do you predict? I'm not even talking record. Just what do you predict that you'll see out of Deshaun Watson?
It's hard because he hasn't played football in so long, and I think what is troubling me when I think about Deshaun Watson coming back is this team didn't lose games this year because of poor play at the quarterback position.
Not at all.
So I don't know that Deshaun really fixes anything. I think the problems are more fundamental and more top down. So I expect for Deshaun personally to come out and be eased into things. I'm, again, thrilled that we're playing a 1-9-1 football team for his first game back. I think it allows him to shake the rust off, and even if he doesn't have a great game, you can still win, which is good from a momentum standpoint. But the following week, we have the following week Cincinnati, I think.
Cincinnati, yep.
So the schedule goes.
That's going to be a fun quarterback matchup if he is playing well.
Well, yeah, but the schedule, while it's not as tough as the run
there's still a few tough games.
You still have 3 division games between now and the end of the year. So I just feel
even though the Steelers are trash, division games can go.
Well, and TJ Watt's healthy again.
Yeah.
So
and they're up 10 points right now.
Yeah. So while you do have really the only outside of the Texans, maybe the Saints are kind of garbage too. But hell, the Commanders, you would have circled that game early on in the season and said that's probably an easy win. But
they're what we were supposed to be.
They're 7-5. So and they're playing good football. So I think the next few weeks are going to be harder than we anticipate. And I just hope that, again, my goal is to get Deshaun out of the next 6 games healthy, because I do expect him to be rusty. I do expect him to take some time to get into the flow of the game, into the flow of the offense. He hasn't worked Kevin Stefanski's offense all year.
No.
He's been in limited meetings and things. I'm sure he has a playbook at home, but he hasn't had a chance to apply any of the knowledge that he has, and any of the learnings that he has, and any of the calls. So it's going to, I think, be a preseason for the next 6 games. And if they win 6 games and end up in that wild card conversation, great. I fully expect them to lose quite a few of them. And I just think that if we can get him through this healthy, get him then into a full off season, OTAs, mini camp, training camp, that's next year, right? That's where the expectations start.
I agree. I agree that next year there's going to be a lot of expectations. So your prediction for this season, though, what you're telling me is you predict us to go probably around 500 or worse and miss the playoffs.
I think that's fair.
Okay. So for me, you talked about does he actually fix anything with our team, seeing as it wasn't bad quarterback play that's caused us to lose games? And I would say no, he doesn't fix anything as far as the defense has been bad, especially against the run. Coaching has been awful, those types of things. But I think the argument can be made, while he doesn't fix things, does he take us to that next level at quarterback enough to where we've had a lot of close games this year, to where we're able to outscore our opponents and mask some of those warts that we have on our team.
Does he take us there this year?
That's what I'm at. So that's what I'm saying is I don't know the answer to that. My prediction for this season, it's actually kind of a bold one. I don't think we run the table. I think that we probably win 4 or 5 of these games, just enough to where everybody's talking about it at the end of the season, but I don't think we lost too many. I think we lost too many early. I don't think we get enough help around the league to get us into the playoffs. But it will catapult us into, like you're talking about, the expectations for next year. Everybody's going to be pretty fired up to see what's going on.
Oh, sure. If they rip off 3 of their last 3 games and Deshaun looks good,
yeah,
it's going to be a good offseason.
And I think I think against the Texans, you're spot on. I think it's going to be a lot of shorter passes. I don't think they're really just going to come out and let him just slink. I mean, it'd be fun to see, and it's kind of. I mean, there's two.
Yeah, it'd be great if you would light it up.
Yeah,
and
there's
drop
2 arguments
here.
here, I guess. The first argument is, like you said, this is a game that you want to ease him back into it. Rely heavily on the run, because you know that if we just rely heavily on the run, we're probably beating this team soundly. But then there's the flip side of it, where you're saying it's a really bad team we're playing. Do we just let Deshaun Watson go wild and try and get him some confidence early on? And I don't know.
I think we'd all love to see that.
I agree. So that goes into what we said earlier. The spectrum of possibilities for Deshaun Watson this season is just astounding.
I do think Kevin Stefanski is such an asshole. I think that he will, on the first drive, he'll take a shot.
Bomb.
He'll take a shot.
Kind of like this week.
It'll be just, if nothing else, just to stretch the field, just to let Deshaun throw the ball long once.
If games were won and lost on the first drive, Kevin Stefanski would be undefeated. So, I expect that again. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like I said, I'm the opposite of you. I think we are going to do very well the rest of the season. And nothing against Jacoby. We talked him up earlier in the episode. We love Jacoby, but I've mentioned it before. Besides the one game this year, his He's right around that 250-yard mark, and you kind of know what you're getting every week. Deshaun Watson is not.
No, he's totally.
So does an extra 150 yards and another touchdown per game get you over that hump? And like I said, mask some of the warts that we've had as a team.
He's much more dynamic, and he's the definition of a playmaker.
Yep.
So that's certainly a dichotomy with Jacoby Brissett. The final thing that I would say, just in terms of predictions and just thoughts around the end of the year with Deshaun Watson.
We both have our hand. You can't see it on the podcast. I was just gonna say we both have our hands folded here because we're cold because it's cold in his basement. We're like old men. I'm just like I'm freezing right here.
We're in a commercial office space.
Yeah.
My final thought on Deshaun Watson is the one thing that this organization, the Cleveland Browns, proper, as a whole, has to guard against is if Deshaun Watson comes out and plays poorly in all 6 games.
That
would be a disaster.
That would be devastating.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes out and looks,
because the worst part is
vis-a-vis Russell Wilson.
Yeah, because the worst part is what we've talked about. You paid $230 million guaranteed. Thick or thin, that dude's your quarterback.
I mean, if you go out and lose the next 6 games and they go, well, Jacoby could have done that.
Not only could Jacoby have done that, he would have won half those games.
That would be a disaster. So let's hope to God that doesn't happen.
He needs to at least, even if we did go out and lose the next 6 games, he needs to at least play well enough to where we're like, oh, okay, yeah, he was shaking off rust the second half.
Yeah, you can lose all 6 games if he plays phenomenally.
Or even if I would even argue if he plays like at the level or slightly above what Jacoby played all season.
Sure.
Like then you're like, well, we know he's got another level. He just didn't reach it this year because he hasn't played football for 2 years.
Yeah, I just that would be.
You watching that game close?
That would be the most disastrous thing, and it would be the most Brownsian thing.
Oh, it would.
If the Browns signed their franchise quarterback.
We're all excited about him. Best quarterback we've had in possibly the history of the Browns, and that's legit.
By the time he hits the field, he's washed
up.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. He's like the same age as Baker Mayfield though, so he's young enough that don't think he's washed yet, but he could be. I'm done talking about Deshaun Watson. Let's go ahead and get into the King of the North.
Young enough and Deshaun Watson in the same sentence. That's a dangerous place to be.
King of the North. Kenny, shall we remind...
This is the worst part of my week.
Shall we remind everybody of the tally? The Steelers game is going on right now. In case anyone was wondering about that, I picked the Steelers and Kenny picked the Colts. The Steelers are currently up 13-10 as we're recording.
13-3.
I'm sorry, 13-3. Even worse for you.
Thank you.
I was going to say they were up 10 points. That's where I got confused. But 13-3. So
I'm just going to play Candy Crush this segment.
Before we add that game in, so far this week, I am 1-2, which is not great. I picked the Browns wrong. I picked the Ravens wrong, but I picked the Bengals game right. Not to be outdone, Kenny is 0-3 so far this week. So
we'll both be 1-3 after tonight.
Whatever you say. So as of right now, I am 23-14, and Kenny is 18-19. He has officially fallen below 500 again. So we'll revisit that. Like I said, we'll add the Steelers game in.
Who thought the Jaguars were going to beat the Ravens?
Not me. I picked it wrong, but I'm 9 games over 500. So we'll add the Steelers game in to next week's recording and update it again. And we need to figure out what you're going to be doing at the end of the season, because you said in your solo venture, because I wasn't here to defend myself, that somehow you were miraculously coming back. We needed to figure out what I needed to be doing for this bet. But it's getting close to where I'm going to start putting a magic number up on your ass. So, anyways, predictions for this week. AFC North picks Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Who you got?
Look, Pittsburgh is trash. I mean, Kenny Pickett is 14-16 tonight. I don't know. But look, I still don't think Pittsburgh is very good. And Atlanta is surprisingly overachieving.
That's fair. They are.
What are they 7-5 right now? Is that their?
They're better than the Browns.
I'm pretty sure they're 7-5.
They're better than the Browns.
I lost it.
I think
I lost it. Where did it go?
Reference nobody understands.
They are
Should I sing a song?
This is bad radio, huh?
Yeah, real bad.
Shoot, I'm pretty sure there's. Why can't I find?
It doesn't matter what they are. Anyways, Kenny. So are you picking Atlanta? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, sorry, they're 5-7, but they're still better than the Browns. They're better than the Steelers. The Steelers are bad. That's what.
Who are you picking?
Atlanta. ATL.
Oh, you're picking Atlanta. Well, I'm going to double down with my Steelers pick from last week.
Here we go.
And you just need to pick your spots. The Steelers are trash. Absolute trash. But so is Atlanta. Regardless of what their record says, they're trash. And I think Pittsburgh, they're actually playing well of late. And I think they get another dub against Atlanta. So I got Pittsburgh.
Great.
Next up, Denver at Baltimore. Kenny, who you got in this? Or you want me to go first?
I'm changing my pick. I'm going Denver.
Let's ride.
I'm riding with Broncos country. The Baltimore Ravens just lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Demoralized and out of it. Trevor Lawrence is in their head. I'm going Russell Wilson gets on track this week. They win a game that they probably shouldn't.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I am definitely picking Baltimore. Russell Wilson is completely washed. And you want to talk about losing to bad teams? They literally just lost to the Carolina Panthers.
Hey, I got to defend against the magic number at this point. So some of these games have to start going.
Oh, that's going to be your excuse the rest of the season. Well, I had to pick it that way because I had to pick opposite of Ronnie. Yeah, whatever. That's another game that's going to be for me and against you. So I'll widen the gap here. Kansas City at Cincinnati.
Kansas City is probably the class of the AFC at this point.
They're pretty good.
But that being said, I'm changing my pick from Kansas City to Cincinnati.
Kenny goes with Cincinnati.
Joe Burrow is going to out-duel Patrick Mahomes. I was going to say Jackson Mahomes' brother.
Couple of surprise picks here from Kenny Thunder.
I was going to say Jackson Mahomes' brother. He will out-duel Patrick Mahomes.
I don't know what to say about this.
They're in Cincinnati.
They are in Cincinnati. The jungle is such a hard place to play.
Rule the jungle. And look, I think Kansas City is just getting a little fat on their loins.
And what evidence do you have of that? Did they stop winning lately?
No. But I don't like their swagger.
Fair. I mean, whatever. I'm going to go with Kansas City. Pretty easy pick here, if you ask me. Not that Cincinnati's a bunch of slouches, but it's Kansas City's going to win.
Transitive property. Kansas City gets beat by Cincinnati this week. We beat Cincinnati the next week. We're the class of the AFC.
I like your thinking there. And finally, let's wrap it up with the Browns at Texans.
The Texans are trash. They're 1-9-1.
Browns win this season.
I was gonna pick the Browns, but I'm gonna.
Are you serious?
No,
please don't.
The Browns. I think the Browns win at least one more game this year, and it's this week.
Yeah, the Browns are going to win this one. That's an easy pick. So let's do it. Go ahead and get into one more revenue break, and we're going to come back and wrap this thing up faster than Flash Garrett.
That John Denver's full of shit, man.
All right. Hold it up there, buddy.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at it. It looked delicious.
There you go. All right. Towpath Holiday Spiced Rum. A molasses-based, limited-release rum infused with spices of the holidays. Ginger, honey, orange, cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove. Let it warm up your taste buds as you warm up your heart with friends and family this holiday season. Available only at the distillery while supplies last. Towpath Holiday Spiced Rum. Looks like a Christmas sweater on that bottle.
Yes.
You want to take a swig? You want to try it?
This was a limited release. How many did they make? There was like a specific number, right? Like 200 and some.
I don't know if, I'll be honest with you, you could flash that on the screen, because I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the number was for this bottle. It was I think it was 303 for their single barrel bourbon. I don't know what it was for this one.
That's maybe what I'm thinking of. That's true.
Yeah, I don't know if they released the actual number, but it's not very many. It's only
the single barrel bourbon that I was thinking of.
Yeah, so once this is a holiday release, and once supplies are gone, then it will be gone.
But it does have a cute Christmas sweater label, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
And it looks tasty.
It was focused. The label was focus tested on me.
I can't talk. It looks tasty.
All right, so that takes us to For the Land. We're going to run through this really quick because I don't like that we're taking so long. I got to get home to my baby.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. All right, so we'll start with the Cavaliers. They're finding their groove again, starting to play complimentary basketball, but we are, well, not that they weren't before, but they're starting to play more of it again. But we are dealing with a few key injuries. A few injuries to key players this week. Jarrett Allen has a back injury. He's missed some time, going to miss a few more games. Kevin Love has a broken thumb. He's missed some games already, going to miss some more games. Ricky Rubio out indefinitely with a knee injury. And Chetty Osman's out there bleeding yellow blood. So
what was that?
I don't know. Show him. Yeah, I don't know what that was. Dude's out there. He bleeds wine and gold.
Is he an alien?
He bleeds wine.
Is he an android?
And gold.
Is he a robot?
He's something. He's a Jedi.
I don't know what to make of this.
He's Chetty the Jedi.
I'm very concerned.
Jedi the Jedi.
This was alarming news when you told me this.
He did bleed yellow blood. I don't know what to tell you.
I looked it up, and this is alarming.
Yeah, it was. It was weird.
What is coming out of you that's yellow? If you're a doctor or
we're gonna speed through this.
Anyone, please tell me what is yellow that's coming out of this man.
Yeah, so it was yellow and it was weird. But if they can get healthy, I think I'm stand by what I said earlier. They're going to be a juggernaut when it comes playoff time. And, yeah.
You said nutmeg.
Oh, the word indefinitely. The word indefinitely. Why do so many people not know what the word indefinitely means?
Indubitably.
All right. There's so many people think it means like forever. That's not what indefinitely means. It means until further notice.
Indefinitely.
Yeah. Quick note, Buckeyes lose to that team up north. And as crazy as it sounds, Ryan Day is officially on the hot seat in Columbus. Dude wins 90% of his games and he's on the hot seat. Just shows how important that rivalry is.
I think this isn't good.
No. He's now lost as many games against Michigan as Jim Tressel, Luke Fickell, and Urban Meyer combined.
How much of this is Ryan Day versus the state of college football today where, like, Ohio State is, for all intents and purposes, a corporation.
Yeah.
And the players that go there are going there because they're trying to punch a ticket to the NFL. It's NFL light.
Yeah.
So you don't have like Mike Doss or Dustin Fox, guys that grew up in Ohio that care about the rivalry.
There's less and less Ohio-grown boys on that team every year.
They're like Deshaun Watson coming to the Browns, right? They're mercenaries.
Yep.
So the rivalry isn't important.
I don't know. Like I said, as crazy as it sounds, though, 90% of his games he's on the hot seat. That's how many he wins. I wish the Browns were that good. We win 90% of our games. We lost to the Steelers once, so we got to get a new coach. And finally, should we talk about the World Cup? I mean, Pulisic is from the Midwest.
And we're a part of America.
Ohio is a part of America. So we'll just touch on that real quick. One of the youngest teams in the World Cup was able to hang with one of the top teams, and the game ended in a tie. They played England, wasn't it? England?
Yes, England. They always lose to us, and if they don't lose, we draw. They've never beaten us at anything.
Wars.
Never beaten us at a war. No.
No. I hate ties, by the way. They're so terrible.
I don't know why those exist.
I don't know. That's a discussion for another time.
Soccer is still a mystery.
Because I can get long-winded there. In closing, what can we expect next week, Kenny Thunder?
We are going to expect the Deshaun or Deshame recap for the Browns-Texans game. It's going to be really interesting just to see what happens this week. I think we are all anxious and ready to see Deshaun actually on the field. So we will break that down for you next, and we will preview the Browns-Bengals matchup.
Back to the AFC North. Social media pages. Tap In Media is on Facebook and Twitter at The Tap In Media. And we're on Instagram at Tap In Media Official. You can also find Burning River Sportscast. That is this Podcast.
This cast.
On Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Burning River Sportscast, and on Twitter at Burning River Pod, because they don't let us be Burning River Sportscast because the handle's too long.
Come on, Elon.
Yeah, so where can you find the podcast? You can find the podcast wherever you get your podcast: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Castro, and so many more.
So when you say so many more, or wherever you get your podcasts, what do you actually mean?
There's a lot of podcast directories out there. There's more that we're a part of than I even knew we were a part of. Like, I find a new one all the time. I'm like, oh, I didn't know we were on there, but there we are.
So what if you go to find the Burning River Sportscast and you can't find us?
You're doing something wrong. Just Google it. You'll find it.
Okay. Before we wrap up,
yes,
I have a couple quick things that I'd like to discuss.
Let's hear them.
The first is, do you know how long a year is on Pluto?
I can tell you how long it's not. 525,600 minutes.
Rent? Why?
Go on.
A year on Pluto is 248 Earth years.
That's a long year.
So all of U.S. history
It's 1 year.
has occurred during one Plutonian year. One revolution around the sun. Does that blow your mind? Well, if that doesn't blow your mind, did you know that an ostrich's eye is bigger than its brain?
Dumb bird.
This could be why the birds often run around in circles when trying to escape predators, despite their fast running speed.
Not very smart. And
No.
they stick their heads in the ground.
My wife would debate you on that. She says that's a myth.
It actually is a myth, and I know that, but it's fun to say.
They do lay their heads close to the ground, though, when they're nesting.
They do.
And finally, you cannot hum if you hold your nose.
You can't do it. It was silence because I tried and it didn't work.
Hands up if you just tried that.
It's so hard. I can't do it.
Yeah, that's a problem. But you know what I always
Just
say?
made you hold your nose and try and hum.
Try and hump?
No, hum. Don't. You can definitely hump when you hold your nose.
Look, here's the thing. Don't just be a part of the problem. Be the whole damn problem.
And only you can prevent river fires.
Burning River.
Sportscast.
Burning River.
Sportscast.
It was good for you to be back.
It was nice
Feels
to
like
be
we're
back.
Back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle.
We're just riding each other again.
Guess who's back? Nah, we're not doing that. We're not riding any. No, just stop it.
Burning River.
Burning River Sports. Burning River.